Heroes can change us because I think heroes inspire us. I know in my own life, I can look at a person or a situation that they're in and think, wow, if they can do that, I can do that.
I would think one of the qualities defining a hero is someone who is committed to right, justice, and who is willing to get up and move in that direction when the call comes.
A hero is somebody who tries to do the things that are right to be done. I don't call myself a hero, but Ruby definitely was.
I am Ruby Bridges, one of 4 black kids chosen to desegregate the public school systems in New Orleans and Louisiana in 1960.
I am Barbara Henry from Boston, who happened to be in New Orleans, I think providentially. In 1960, I was asked to teach the 1st grade at the William Frantz School, and that's how I happened to be part of this historic event.
I'm Charles Burks. I'm a retired U.S. Marshal. I served in the Marshal Service for 28 years. I had been a Deputy U.S. Marshal for about 6 years when the school integration started in the South.
And that day there was a knock at the door, and I remember my parents opening the door and these 4 white men, had come to the house to get me, and they were going to take us to school that day.
I had never seen Ruby until the morning that we took her, first morning we took her to school. But we knew where she lived and everything, so we just drove up to her house and picked her up and went to school.
And so I remember getting into the car with them, and we started this very short drive to my new school. But the minute we turned the corner, in front of my new school, the whole street was lined with people. And they were barricaded, and there were police officers everywhere. Some of them were on horseback, motorcycles.
Of course, I didn't expect, I expected something like what happened. I didn't think it'd be that severe.
As we got in front of the school that first day, the marshals walked me into the building, escorted me up the stairs, but we went to the principal's office. I was never escorted to my class that day. And I think it was because all of those people that were outside, they rushed in behind us. And they went into every classroom and they started pulling out their kids. The next day, it was the same thing. They picked me up, drove me to school, but when we turned the corner on the second day, the crowds had almost doubled in size. And I think it was because at that point, the whole city knew which schools were going to be integrated.
She seemed to be unafraid, which was unusual, I thought, because most children her age would have been afraid to do what she did, but she wasn't. And I talked to her so many times, and she just never showed any fear or any apprehension. And I thought that was remarkable, that she would feel that way, the 6-year-old girl.
Outside it was wildly hostile. Inside I would say it was quietly hostile. And only, I must say, the presence of the federal marshals made me feel I was still in the country that I knew. There was some semblance of the America that I knew.
So the marshals grabbed my hand and they rushed me in, and I remember them saying, "Ruby, walk straight ahead and don't look back."
The day I met Ruby, I realized my class was 1 student. The door was suddenly opened to be filled by this wall of human giants, in the midst of whom was this little petite, beautiful, singular pioneer, Ruby Bridges. And her little head just sort of slightly rose, and that enchantingly unique, winsome Ruby Bridges smile appeared.
When I got to the classroom that day, the door opened and Mrs. Henry was standing there,
It was love at first sight, truly. And so I took her hand from the hands of the marshal into my hand, and together we left that cameo of a passing order, joined together, went upstairs to our private, solitary, and wonderful journey, year-long journey together in our classroom.
Well, that whole time there, it bothered me that there were no kids. When I started to go into the closet when it got cold to hang up my coat, I heard kids. I never saw them, but I heard them. What was happening is that the principal was taking the kids and hiding them.
Even though there was a number of teachers who remained in the school, not one ever crossed our threshold of our door to come and offer a word of help or anything. And how sad, how much they missed. They were the losers.
So I remember the day she took me back into that closet, and there was a door there that I'd not seen. And she unlocked it, and we walked through there, and it led to another room. And there they were. There were 4 or 5 kids sitting on the floor. I finally found them.
And Ruby and I, together, forged this wonderful bond. And I think it was because we each had hearts really free of prejudice that allowed us to have this communion of spirit that I think strengthened her and allowed herself to be steel to meet the challenges that she met every day.
Mrs. Henry did everything with me in that classroom. She made school so much fun. I loved school. I just knew that if I got past that crowd, you know, and that it was a short walk and into the classroom, I was going to have a great day. And it was because of her.
What Ruby did was very important to this country. A 6-year-old child doesn't realize she's making history. She just thought she was going to school.
So I think Ruby's example of courage, of kindness, can be so powerful for today's kids in understanding another person and developing a greater sense of respect, of caring, compassion, and ultimately love of one another to make the world a better place.
Racism is a grown-up disease, and we should stop using kids to spread it. I mean, we all know that each and every one of our babies, they come into the world with a clean start in life. I always say they have a clean heart. And it is us, we as adults, we are the ones that take and pass it on to them.